How to dropship on Etsy. This is going to act as your step-by-step guide. So firstly, you need to decide whether you're going to source from Etsy and sell on your own website. Maybe that's through Shopify, maybe that's on eBay. It's entirely up to you. Or you might look at it as, I'm going to source elsewhere and then I'm going to sell on Etsy. Now, for the purpose and definition of Etsy dropshipping, we're going to go with the latter. So we're going to assume that you are sourcing products elsewhere, creating them yourself, or maybe even print on demand, and you're going to be selling them on Etsy. So without any further delay, let's get straight into it. If you're not already familiar with Etsy, it's basically like a marketplace. Anyone can list items and people go on there, especially for handmade and unique items. They go for the personalized feel, and this means that the products on there tend to be more pricey and a little bit of the higher valued items, as opposed to your traditional dropshipping and things like eBay. It's kind of like a higher ticket eBay. The first thing you need to decide is whether you want to go through the digital route or the physical route. So are you going to be selling digital products, or are you going to be selling physical products? Now, digital products, I made a video just a couple of weeks ago that in January of 2021, one of the top search terms were CV and resume templates. So that's an example of a digital item. Now, physical item is pretty much self-explanatory. It's anything physical. Both have their pros and cons. So we'll just quickly go over the pros and cons of digital and physical items. So if you want to skip this bit, feel free, hit the timestamps below and it will tell you where to skip to. So digital items, for the pros, you've got no fulfillment process. Like, it is just a download app. People will buy it and they can instantly download it. This also means that there's no returns policy, there's no refunds to deal with at a later date. It's pretty much you buy, you download, as simple as that. This also means that there's no shipping delays, like you're not going to be hit by the pandemic. A lot of people switched over to digital items just because of the pandemic and that they were getting hit by the delays, hit by supply relations, things like that, especially during this time where you've still got the after effects of Chinese New Year and delays in manufacturing. Going down the digital product route, if you're just starting out, isn't a bad idea. Now, the cons of digital items, it's very competitive. Like I said, anyone can stick up a template on there. Anyone can go on Fiverr or Upwork and get a series of resume templates or how-to guides, and they can sell them on Etsy. Anybody can do it. And because there's low barriers to entry, it means that you've got high competition. It means you're going to have to excel in your quality and your customer service. Now, if you don't have the financial means to go and hire somebody to create these templates for you, and a lot of people don't because they're starting this, and you're probably interested in this video as a free way to get started in dropshipping to earn money as an alternative to Shopify dropshipping. So you don't have to spend loads of money on ads, it's nothing like that. But for digital items, you are going to have to pay somebody if you don't have the skills yourself. And that could be a huge con, especially if you don't have the skill or you don't have the financial means to hire somebody. So it's just something to bear in mind when deciding whether I want to go down the physical route or the digital products route. Once you've decided whether you want a digital or a physical product, head over to my top niche video and check out the most searched terms for 2021. Basically, that will give you a good idea and some inspiration of things to sell if you don't already have an idea. If you already have an idea, then perfect, let's move on to the next one. The next thing we're going to be talking about is Etsy guidelines, and now this is a big one. This is the one that you're going to have to listen to if you want to be dropshipping on Etsy, because there are strict rules to follow, and if you don't follow these, then you risk upsetting Etsy, you risk getting your store banned, you risk bad reviews and so forth, and that's not what we want. Now, Etsy guidelines state, Etsy is a unique marketplace. Buyers come here to purchase items that they may not find anywhere else. Everything listed for sale on Etsy must be handmade, vintage, or a craft supply. It also goes on to then state handmade items are items that are made and or designed by you, the seller. Read our full handmade policy. So what this means is basically your item has to have a handmade feel to it. If you go through Etsy, there are items that are mass manufactured. They shouldn't be on Etsy. They do not meet the guidelines. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make them yourself. You can team up with a production partner or a manufacturer. Now, if you have an agent, maybe from your Shopify dropshipping, or if you know how to get in touch with an agent, maybe through a dropshipping Facebook group, they can act as your production partner because they can team you up with the manufacturer. And then once you've teamed up, then you have a production partner, and you can kind of circumvent that rule because you are in contact with the production partner and you are sending instructions. You are saying that I want this size, I want this color, and you are having that element of involvement in the design. Now, it does also go on, and I'll put this on screen. If you work with a production partner, you must disclose that production partner in your relevant listings. Now, this is really important, and we'll go over that when we cover the listings portion of the video. But basically, that you have to, if you're going to work with a production partner, you're going to have to disclose it. You're going to have to make Etsy aware, and that your customers are aware that this is my production partner. Now, this is good and bad. Good because you can obviously abide by the Etsy guidelines, and that's good because you can make sales. Bad because competitors will be able to see your production partner, and they might try and copy your listings. If they see that your store is doing well, they can go to your production partner, they can search for them, they can approach them, and so forth. So just bear that in mind. Now, Etsy guidelines also go on to state that if you're using photographs and content, they have to be of your own. You can't use stock footage. It's not like Shopify where you can just take a photo of AliExpress and stick that on Etsy. Yes, people do it, and no, they shouldn't do it. This is totally against Etsy guidelines. If you're none the wiser and you've got stock footage up there, just take photos of your own products, basically. If you've got an agent, or if you're already working with a production partner, they will gladly take photos for you and just replace the photos. It's that simple, and it's a good thing because when customers go and search through these multiple search results, your photos aren't going to be the stock footage, aren't going to be the basic standard photos that they see. They're going to see something new, creative, and yeah, just bear that in mind. Create your own footage if you're going to make videos, which video listings do really well. If you're not doing video listings, if you're just doing photos, then do take your own photos. And just be wary of people stealing your photos, because you can report them to Etsy if you have the proof that, oh yes, I took these, this is me in the photo, etc. Now, another thing that I'm going to mention in Etsy guidelines, obviously I mentioned that it had to be handmade, it had to be vintage or craft supply, either or. If you're going to go with handmade, fine, just take into account what we just talked about. If you're going to go with vintage, then bear in mind that the items must be 20 years old at least. Now, Etsy have a whole page on their requirements for vintage items, so if that's the route you're going to go down, do check that out. Now, the other one is craft supplies, and that's defined by tools, ingredients, or materials whose primary purpose is for use in the creation of an item or a special occasion. Now, that's open to interpretation, so take that from it what you will. But yeah, just bear these in mind when you're looking for products, when you're doing your product research, and before you list items, just have a scan over the guidelines to make sure you can correlate your product with the guidelines. Now, what can't be sold on Etsy? Basically, mass manufactured items. The items that you would normally sell on Shopify stores and things like that, you can't sell on Etsy. They just won't let you. Now, another thing to bear in mind is that anyone can report your listings if they see that you're selling mass manufactured items. If they think your items don't meet code, people can report them. If they're not as per the description, people will report your listings, and you will get approached by Etsy to do something about it. You might even be banned, you might even be asked to leave the platform. Now, anybody can report your listings. I've had a competitor report my listing before just because I started out selling them. So just bear in mind that that is something that you're going to be up against, and it does happen. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it. Just make sure you meet the guidelines, and then that way you have a defense for if that time comes. Hopefully it doesn't. Now, one thing I'm going to mention, I kind of forgot this in the digital or physical product bit, is you can always go down the print on demand route. Now, like Etsy guidelines state that the item has to be created or designed by you. Now, print on demand is entirely designed by you. You are creating the design, you are sending the design, all they're doing, whether you connect it to Printify, Printful, or anything like that, they're just shipping it out to the customer. So you are fully responsible for the creation and design, for the design of that item. They're responsible for the production and shipping it out. So you can connect your print on demand if that's something that you're into. You can connect your print on demand to your Etsy store, and it takes care of everything for you. Now, once you've set up with Etsy, it literally takes 10 minutes to register for Etsy. Now, what you want to do is create a separate email, because you're going to want a separate business type email for your Etsy store. If you get any notifications, things like that, you want to associate it to a different email just because you don't want it catching up in all your spam and whatever. Once you've got your Etsy account set up, you then look to add a listing. Now to add a listing, there's just a nice big button there that says add new listing. You click that and here it goes, add new listing. You add your photos. Like I said, if you can take photos of yourself or get your agent or production partner to do it for you, that's great, do that. Video, again, if you can add a video on it, then by all means add a video. Now, listing details, this is the important bit. You want your title to scream keywords. Now, if you're selling something, do your research on Google Trends and just check the keyword. Things like gifts, obviously do better at a certain time of the year, such as Q4. Things like garden party items do well in the summer, so make sure that you're including the keywords in your title. Now about this listing, this is quite important too, because this is basically going to decide who to show your products to. So what is it? Is it a finished product? Is it a supplier tool to make things? What it's basically saying, is it a finished product or is it one of these crafting items that are going to have to match up with these other guidelines? So that's entirely up to your product. Now, once you've filled that out, you also have to state when you made it. If you're working with a production partner, which in most cases you will, then it'll be quite recent. It'll be in the last year or something like that. If it is older, do put that as older. If you're selling vintage items and you're gonna lie, do not do that because they will find out. So vintage items, it will say 1980s, 1970s. Make sure it is accurate because like I said, anyone can report your listing. So do make sure you're putting the right information into here. Now your category will depend on the product. Just keep your target market in mind. Let's just say, for example, you're selling some sort of handmade pet bed or a pet toy or something like that. Then you obviously want to go into pet furniture. You might want to put pet supplies. There is a separate category for pet beds and cots. Now you need to decide which category your thing falls into because there are so many different categories that if you pick the wrong one, this will affect how well your product comes up on the search results and how well your product will perform overall on Etsy. So do your research into this and make sure you are picking the right category. Now for the renewal options, I usually go automatic. Unless you're selling something that you're hand making yourself, then make sure you do it on manual because you don't want a sudden flood of orders and then you're running erratically to try and build these items. So yeah, do stick that on automatic if you're sourcing it, and manual if you're making it yourself. Now type physical or digital, we've already covered that, so that should be fine. For the description, it's going to be a short description of your product. Make sure you hit them hard in the first couple of lines with the product features and the product advantages because they will only see a brief preview of the description. So make sure anything important, keywords, things like that, your attention grabber is in the first line or so of your description. Now another good thing to put in your product description is how the product is made or a little bit about the process. Like if you're hand making this yourself, then just put a little bit about the process, like what you do, because people like that sort of thing. Now production partners, like I said in the Etsy guidelines section, you need to be including every single partner that you're partnering up with on that product. Now, if you are doing dropshipping and you've partnered up with a manufacturer, that manufacturer is going to have a name, stick the name in there, it'll be fine. Now, this bit is the most important bit of your whole listing, and this is your tags. Now, these tags are the words that people are going to be searching that come up with your listing. So if they search dog bowl, and if you've got that as a tag, you're more likely to appear up on their search. If you just put dogs or bowls or pet bowls, you're less likely to come up on the search. So you need to think as a perspective of a buyer, what am I going to be searching for this item? If I'm selling a dressing gown, I'm going to be searching for the word dressing gown. If I'm searching for a specific item, I'm going to be putting those specific words, and that's what you need to do your research about. This is where you do your Google Trends. This is where you look at optimizing your keywords, because this is where the sales come in. And don't forget, you can change these over time. You can have these as a one set for Christmas and then a one set for Valentine's Day if you're doing something that works out as a gift. I have different presets, so I'll basically have certain keywords for Q4, certain keywords for Q1, and certain keywords for summer. The next bit is the fun bit. This is where you get to price your item. Now you want to be taking into account your product cost. If you're going to be shipping the item yourself or you're using an agent, take into the entire cost and decide what margin you want on top of that. A good 20 to 40% margin is a good one to aim for, especially if you're just starting out. Making 20 to even 30% is really good. And then once you get the orders, once you start appearing up on the search pages, add new products, then you can look at basically charging more for your item, especially when you become a star seller, which again, I have a video on that here. Once you become a star seller, you are more valuable, your products are seen as higher value, and your customer service is seen as better, so you can justify charging higher prices. When you're pricing your item, just remember that Etsy do have fees. They have their processing fee and their listing fee and so forth, so you want to be taking that into account, because I see a lot of people list their items, think they're making a 30% profit margin, and then Etsy fees completely annihilate that and they're making a loss. So make sure you calculate all your margins before you start listing items. Now the last couple of bits are basically adding variations if you're adding colors or sizes and things like that. Personalization, only make this available if you're going to offer personalization, like if you're doing some sort of jewelry and you're engraving names on it, then by all means add personalization, otherwise keep that off. And then your delivery items, then your delivery options, this is completely up to you. I would give yourself a bit of time. If you think it's going to take 1 to 2 days to process, then just put 2 to 3. Give yourself that extra day leniency. If you're going to do 7-day shipping, again, give your option as 7 to 10 day shipping. Just give yourself that leniency and give yourself that space. Once you've sorted that whole page out and you've hit publish, that is it. Congratulations, you've now listed your first item on Etsy, and hopefully you can see all the sales roll in. I think it took me about 2 to 3 weeks until I got my first sale, and I've never looked back since. I started Etsy from my Shopify dropshipping store, basically having a couple of items that are marketed and they didn't sell very well, and I thought, you know what, they have this handmade feel to it, I'm going to try to sell them on Etsy. Listed them on Etsy, and then within a couple of weeks they were making more on Etsy than they were on my Shopify store. So even if you're not selling on Etsy at the moment and you're doing traditional dropshipping, this is something to take into account because it's that extra source of income. That's all from me, folks. Thanks ever so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Got any questions, hit them down below. I'll answer every single one of them. I post every single week. Check out my other videos and I'll catch you in the next one.